What is up, nerds, geeks, and gamers? My name is Rage, and today I'm going to be talking about the first Berserker Khazan. I must preface this entire review on two things. One, I'm not a huge Souls-like fan. I've only played Elden Ring and Black Myth Wukong. And two, I played this game in the intended difficulty, or at least the difficulty I assume was intended, based on the fact that that was the difficulty the game was set to before they added the normal mode, which makes the game easier. I have not played the normal mode. This entire review is done through the lens of the extra mode playthrough that I did. So, if any of you guys are put off by my review, I think you should still give the game a try if you think it's something you'd like, and just play in the normal mode. There's no shame in it. I simply was already like a third of the way through the game before they added the update that added the normal mode. So, with that being said, I'm going to give this game a 5 out of 10. That is not a bad score. That is simply a, I think there's probably going to be an equal amount of people who love the game and an equal amount of people who hate the game. And the biggest reason I think people might not enjoy this game is simply because, in my opinion, the bosses were too hard. And that is mostly due to the fact that, unlike Elden Ring and Black Myth Wukong, you can't really cheese the bosses, so you actually have to get pretty good at the combat, or throw yourself against the wall 100 times like I did with most of the bosses. The only, in Elden Ring, you have the different status effects, and a lot of them are actually really strong. Like Bleed and the Black Flames were two really, really strong status effects. In Black Myth, you had your shadow clones. You could transform and give yourself basically an entirely new health bar. Stuff like that. In this game, the closest thing to cheese that I can really think of is using lightning on your weapons, which, if you hit the bosses enough, will give them. Most of the bosses are weak to status effects. I think most of them are weak to most status effects, but lightning was really the only one that I used. Anyway, lightning does stamina damage, so if you get the boss and you hit them enough times, they will be electrified, and that will do constant damage to their stamina bar, which is the closest to cheese I can really think of. Like I said, I only did one playthrough on the expert mode. I'm seeing some videos, so I think in the new game plus is where you can start to really cheese the bosses and stuff like that. But for your first playthrough, I only play most games one time until I beat it. I just did not really like the bosses. This game has perfect blocks, imperfect blocks, perfect dodges, and imperfect dodges, which means that the bosses have to be pretty aggressive in order to really be difficult to fight. Because if you perfect block or perfect dodge, you take no damage. Perfect blocking does a little bit of stamina damage, and all around it would just be too easy if the bosses weren't super aggressive. Which sucks, because the first real boss, Viper, took me, I think, 20 to 30 tries, which doesn't seem like a lot, but he was hyper aggressive in my opinion. He was not fun to fight. Same with most of the bosses, which I feel bad saying, but as someone who's not a big Souls-like and is honestly pretty garbage at video games, I just found the bosses in this game far too aggressive. It really, a lot of the time, it really felt like you basically had no time to attack, even though you did, and you could especially, you couldn't stamina break them, and it'll give you a window to attack them. But a lot of the bosses just either have some sort of fast regen on their stamina, or they move around a lot. Most of the arenas for the bosses are like huge, pretty big. A lot of the bosses like to jump around and stuff, which gives them time for their stamina to regen, and they're just aggressive. So unless you're capable of perfect blocking or dodging, like 6+ attacks, a lot of the time you just don't really have too much time to attack, which is annoying and very frustrating. With that being said, however, there is a normal mode, like I said, so don't feel like you have to play the expert mode. I'm sure the normal mode makes the bosses less aggressive and makes the game overall more enjoyable to play. And two, I'm also just really bad at this game. I really am. I'm sure plenty of you people will pick this game up and beat all the bosses in like 100 tries compared to my like 500. I promise you guys, as much as I just spent time talking about how tough the bosses are, if you are competent at Souls likes, I really don't think you'll have that much of a problem with most of the bosses. The only boss that I truly that like throughout my playthrough, there were a couple bosses that took me a lot of tries. However, the last boss took me the most tries and was also the most frustrating. His name is, I'm not going to give his name, but I just wanted to say the things that made him hard were he dodges a lot. He has a ton of AoE moves. He has a couple get out of jail free cards, so like you'll be like attacking him and he'll be staggering with every attack, and then suddenly he'll pull out a move and he won't stagger anymore. It was super frustrating. Um, he is ranged. He's a pretty good ranged fighter. He has a second phase that is even more aggressive than the first one, and he is immune to all statuses, so you can't even use lightning on him. Uh, he is just the most annoying boss. I hated him. He made me take like a 2-week break from the game, and honestly, if not for the fact that I am a completionist, like if I start a game, I want to beat it, I probably would have given up against him. There were a couple other bosses that made me want to give up, but not nearly as much as the last boss did, and he was he. I cannot tell you just how much I despised the last boss. However, that is all the bad that I have to say. It's mainly the bosses. Like, it is literally just the bosses themselves that make me dislike this game. Which is bad in that this is a Souls-like, so the bosses are supposed to be the main attraction. You know, it's supposed to be a difficult game. But, other than that, everything else was phenomenal. The art is really good. I really like the art style of this game. I like how it's kind of cartoony, anime-ish in terms of like how the characters look. Like your character, the other characters you meet throughout the game, the other NPCs, the bosses, some of them look, well, they don't look cartoonish. None, I don't think I could call any of the bosses cartoonish, but some of them look really cool. The fighting is very fluid. It's very fun and engaging. Like I said, you have the perfect blocks, perfect dodges. You have 3 different weapons that you can use. I mainly use the spear for most of the game, and then switch to the great sword for like the last like three bosses. No, I switched to the great sword and then switched back to spear and then switched back to the great sword. And then there's the dual wielding, but all 3 have their own different combos, abilities that you unlock in a skill tree. it's honestly really fun fighting like regular enemies because of it. There's like really cool, really strong moves that you can unlock. Some of the different armor sets that you get, well, armor and weapon sets that you get, add new moves as well. So like the combat itself is pretty fun. Like I honestly enjoyed it. It was probably the most fluid out of the three games that I've mentioned before, even more than Black Myth Wukong, which I thought was really nice and engaging. And the story is interesting as well. I really, 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 really enjoyed the story. The plot is very interesting. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but you're playing as Khazan, who was betrayed by the Emperor after a titanic battle with an enemy that threatened to destroy the, I don't know if it was the world, but at least the empire that you lived in, that you were the general of, was going to be destroyed by Hismar, the dragonkin, like beast king guy. So there's also side quests that you can do. At least there's probably about a dozen different like side missions that you can do. Some of them have a story, like contribute to the main story. Some of them don't. But I found the story really engaging. I think you guys will really enjoy it. It was it was really interesting. It has to do with the balance of life and death and how souls are being destroyed. So you have to find out what is destroying it, and you find out that one of your companions who helped you kill Hismar is actually the cause of souls being destroyed, or I wouldn't call him the cause, but he's channeling the power and is, partially responsible for it, even though he didn't like create the power that's doing it. Uh, Overall, like I said, I think if this is your type of game, you'll enjoy it. I really think if you're a Souls-like fan, this game has a lot to offer to you. And if you're someone who is like me, who isn't very good at them, I would recommend giving the game a try on normal mode. If you're someone who gets angry super easily like I do, however, I would definitely I I, w- I would not recommend playing on expert mode. I think this game will be enjoyable for about 50% of gamers, and I think the other 50% of gamers will have better luck finding a game in a different genre because Souls-like is not for everyone. It's really not for me, but I still wanted to give the game a try, and I managed to beat it. Even as someone who's not good at these kind of games, I managed to beat it. So, uh, if you made it this far and you liked the video that accompanied this, seeing the combat, seeing some of the bosses, I would recommend giving it a try. I don't know how easy normal mode gets compared to expert mode, but the fact that they give you the option shows that they want more than just hardcore, Souls-like people to play it. I'm sure that some casual gamers will probably really enjoy the game. Please don't let my review discourage you guys from trying it, checking it out, even just watching some videos to see, to develop your opinion on the game. I just didn't like the bosses that much. I thought they were way too aggressive, and I wish that they had toned it down just a little bit. Otherwise, though, this game, fighting regular common enemies and like mini bosses and stuff, was pretty fun. The combat, as I have said, it was really fluid and engaging. I really liked the combos and stuff that you could do. I liked the different skills that you could get depending on which weapon you decided to run, and I enjoyed how the game looked. and even the bosses too, even if I didn't actually like fighting the bosses. Overall, though, like I said, for me, this is going to be a 5 out of 10. I would recommend it to people that I think would enjoy this kind of game, and for the people I don't think would enjoy it, I would mention the normal mode, just, in case they want to give it a try. I don't want to discourage people from trying the game, playing the game, but it's just not for me. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to get notified when I go live or release a video. It really helps me out and makes me more motivated to continue streaming and making YouTube videos and stuff like that. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace.